OpenAI is one of the world's top AI research labs, and many people know them from their cutting-edge products like ChatGPT, DALL-E, Voice Engine, and their ultra-realistic video generator Sora. But what if this is just surface-level stuff? What if something darker and way more powerful is happening behind the scenes? What if I told you that CEO Sam Altman, as well as the entire founding team, as well as Microsoft, which holds 49% of the company, is no longer in control of OpenAI, but instead they are slowly and secretly losing control to a bigger, darker entity? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. OpenAI has always been regarded as one of the leaders in this AI revolution. Their revenue has more than doubled to $3.4 billion in just the past 6 months, making far more than their closest competitor, Anthropic. Their signature product, ChatGPT, is by far the most widely used AI model out there, with almost 2 billion visits per month. And GPT had always been the top-ranked AI model out there, even above the powerful Claude 3.5 Sonnet. This is an AI model leaderboard called LMSys, where users blind test different models. And here it shows that GPT-4o is consistently in rank number 1. So it seems OpenAI has always been at the forefront of AI innovation, and they often announce products that are truly mind-blowing and unlike anything we've ever seen. For example, earlier this year, they unveiled a super realistic video generator called Sora, which made all the other video generators out there at that time look like trash. A few months later, they released GPT-4o, which beats all the existing AI models out there by a huge margin. Plus, it had this insanely natural-sounding voice, so you could have a real conversation with it.
I can see it looks like you're in some kind of recording or production setup. With those lights, tripods, and possibly a mic, it seems like you might be gearing up to shoot a video, or maybe even a live stream.
Yeah. In fact, we've got a new announcement to make.
That's exciting. Announcements are always a big deal. Judging by the setup, it looks like it's going to be quite the professional production.
However, since those two announcements earlier this year, they've been kind of low-key and silent. But actually, a lot has changed internally. And if you uncover all that has happened in the past 6 months or so and put all the pieces together, it seems that OpenAI is actually falling deeper and deeper into the control of a bigger, darker entity. And that's exactly what we're going to go over in this video. Let's rewind back in time to late last year. This was when Sam Altman was suddenly fired by the board of directors. Well, after a long string of events over that weekend, Sam was rehired as the CEO, and most of the previous board members were kicked out. If you're interested in learning more about that story, check out this video where I did a deep dive on exactly what happened. Anyways, after that event, a few new board members were selected, and one of them was Larry Summers. Now, if you haven't heard of Larry Summers, he's quite an influential figure in the worlds of politics and economics. From 1991 to 93, he was the chief economist at the World Bank. Then he was appointed by President Bill Clinton to be the Undersecretary for International Affairs. During that period, he played a key role in shaping U.S. international economic policy. He later became the Secretary of the Treasury, where he continued to deal with international financial issues and economic policy. And then in 2009, he was the Director of the National Economic Council under President Obama. And then finally, late last year, he was appointed as board member at OpenAI. Now, this guy is heavily tied to the US government and regulating economic policy. Note that this is a guy with no technical background, no expertise in AI and machine learning, and no experience in nonprofit or philanthropy. So you might be wondering, what would someone like this be doing at the board of OpenAI? It seems quite out of place that he would be on the board of directors at a nonprofit AI research lab. Well, this is just the first piece of the puzzle, and everything will make sense in a second. Anyways, going back to the incident of Sam Altman getting fired, a lot of people were speculating why. What was the reason he got fired so abruptly? Were they building some super secret, super dangerous AI behind closed doors, and he wasn't telling anyone? We still don't really know the reason why he was fired, but around that time, this document was leaked on the internet. Now, we don't know how true this is, but then again, OpenAI never denied this. In fact, Sam admitted that they were working on a project called Q-Star. Now, this document described in very technical details a top secret project that they were building called Q-Star. And this was an AI that could potentially break encryption systems. This, of course, could be very dangerous if it got out, and it could cripple the internet and the economy as we know it today. But that's not the point of this video. There's one keyword in this document that's extremely relevant to our topic today. And that word is NSAC, which stands for National Security Agency, Colorado. This is the closest NSA to where OpenAI is located in San Francisco. So if this document were true, it seems like OpenAI has been in close collaboration with the NSA in regards to their top secret and potentially most dangerous research projects. Now, the National Security Agency is a US government agency. They focus on a few things. One area is called signals intelligence. To put it nicely, they collect information from everyone. To put it bluntly, they basically spy on everyone. The NSA listens to your phone calls, reads your emails, and monitors other electronic communications to gather information about you. Another focus of the NSA is to hack and break codes. For example, the NSA tries to decode encrypted messages from other countries. The NSA also protects US government systems from hacking and cyber attacks. They develop advanced encryption and cybersecurity technologies to secure sensitive government information. And finally, and probably not surprisingly, the NSA is quite heavily connected with the military. They provide important information to the military, plus they collaborate with other intelligence agencies. Now, the nice way of looking at all of this is that the NSA helps to identify potential threats and enforce security. But the truth isn't always so black and white. You might have heard of Edward Snowden. He's a former NSA administrator, and he has exposed a ton of concerning things about the NSA. The NSA basically spies on all Americans and people of other countries by heavily collecting communication data from everyone. This includes collecting your phone data and tapping into your internet. This is actually an abuse of power and a violation of individual privacy rights. This is so bad that in 2020, the federal court actually looked at everything that was exposed by Edward Snowden and then ruled that the NSA, and therefore the government, actually broke the law by spying on millions of Americans. So anyways, that's the NSA that was mentioned in this leaked document about OpenAI's top secret project. Now, note that this was leaked in late 2023. And then fast forward a few weeks, here's something that very few people knew about. On January 10th of 2024, OpenAI subtly changed their terms and conditions. You see, before, their policy had a clause that prohibited the use of their products for weapons development and military and warfare. But on January 10th, this piece was missing. And if you look at the usage policies today, they don't mention anything about military or warfare. That word doesn't exist in their terms and conditions. Their policy no longer prohibits military usage. OpenAI later released a statement confirming this change, and they also mentioned the following. There are, however, national security use cases that align with our mission. For example, we are already working with DARPA to spur the creation of new cybersecurity tools to secure open source software that critical infrastructure and industry depend on. Now, what exactly is DARPA? DARPA stands for the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. If you're not familiar with DARPA, it's often known as the Pentagon's Mad Science Division. Its mission is to develop cutting-edge technologies for the US government. Not surprisingly, their research is mostly used for military purposes, and most of their projects are classified secrets. Nobody really knows what crazy, controversial, or destructive things they're working on. And now OpenAI, arguably the world's top AI lab, is working with DARPA. This could very well lead to some controversial or extremely dangerous technology, especially given that they've removed banning military usage in their policy. This gives them the okay in creating something potentially destructive. So I hope you're starting to get a sense of where this video is heading. Gradually and subtly, OpenAI has been working more and more with the US government, specifically with DARPA, which is a top secret research lab, and the NSA, which has been known to abuse their powers and violate privacy rights by spying on anyone and everyone. Now, the string of events doesn't end there. In June, OpenAI appointed another person to its board of directors. This person is Paul Nakasone, previously a US Army general and also director of the NSA. This has sparked a lot of controversy. Why would someone with a background in the military and someone who was the director of the NSA join the board of OpenAI, which is supposed to be a non-profit AI research lab? Now, OpenAI did mention that his appointment is to enhance safety and security as they develop more intelligent and more powerful AI models. They did mention that Paul will play a key role in the newly formed Safety and Security Committee, which oversees the safety and security of OpenAI's technology. But is that really the true story here? Here's Edward Snowden's take on this. They've gone full mask off. Do not ever trust OpenAI or its products. There's only one reason for appointing an NSA director to your board. This is a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. You have been warned. Now, this is Edward's take on this. I'm not saying I 100% agree or disagree with this, but let me know in the comments below what you think about this. Now, it doesn't end there. During this whole AI boom that has happened in around the past 2 years, one of the tech giants, Apple, has remained quite silent about AI all this time. But recently they finally announced some AI-related updates for their products. Now, previously there were rumors that OpenAI and Apple were discussing a deal, and people were speculating that Apple devices would probably use OpenAI's GPT as the default model. But funny enough, what Apple announced was quite the opposite. Thanks to our sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in math, data analysis, programming, and AI. It's a very effective way to learn. Their first principles approach helps you understand things from the ground up. And all the content is designed by teachers and experts from MIT, Caltech, Duke, Microsoft, Google, and more. Each lesson has hands-on problem solving. So instead of just watching lecture videos, you actually learn to solve the problems yourself. And this is proven to be 6 times more effective in learning. Brilliant recently launched a ton of new content in data, which teaches you how to see trends and make better informed decisions. It's perfect for anyone who wants to learn data analysis, from Bayes' theorem to multiple linear regression. You'll learn how to parse and visualize massive datasets to make them easier to interpret. Plus, you'll work with real datasets from sources like Starbucks, Twitter, Spotify, and more. Try Brilliant for free for a full 30 days via the link in the description below. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Now back to the video. Apple announced that their AI would handle most tasks. It would first try to handle it locally on device, and if more compute or more intelligence was needed, then it would be sent to their private cloud servers. They mentioned that you could also use GPT, but they emphasized that your data would be sent privately. Private is the key word here. Now, Is this implying something? Are they suggesting that perhaps using the original ChatGPT might not be so private? The fact that Apple has chosen to keep their distance from using ChatGPT is quite concerning. Could this be because of a user privacy issue? And could this be linked to why OpenAI has recently appointed an ex-director at the NSA, which is known to spy on people and violate user privacy? But the string of odd events doesn't end there. So Elon Musk, who was one of the original founders of OpenAI, sued OpenAI late last year. He accused OpenAI and CEO Sam Altman of breaking their original founding promise of using AI to benefit all of humanity. Instead, OpenAI has now turned into a for-profit organization which is closed source. We have no idea the architecture or code of GPT-4. It's far from open source, which was what the open in OpenAI was supposed to signify. If you're interested in learning more about the lawsuit, check out this deep dive on it. Now, I think Elon actually had quite a good case in this lawsuit. He made some very valid points that criticized OpenAI and how it's abusing its nonprofit structure to actually make a lot of profit. Now, as we know, Elon Musk is usually quite vocal about a lot of things. He's not afraid to call things out or challenge people or speak out his opinion. But strangely enough, in early June, just one day before the scheduled hearing of this case, Elon suddenly dropped the lawsuit. He did not provide any explanation for this sudden withdrawal. And if you know Elon, that's not his character at all. Not a lot of things can force Elon to drop a lawsuit. Not a lot of things can force Elon to just shut up and not provide any explanation whatsoever. Unless, of course, you're as powerful as the US government. Now, there's no concrete evidence that the US government was behind any of this, but I'm just bringing this piece of news up because it's very odd. From this series of events so far, we know that OpenAI is getting more and more influenced by the US government and their related entities such as NSA and DARPA. And then Elon Musk suddenly drops his lawsuit without saying anything further. This all just seems to fit very nicely together. Here's another peculiar event that happened recently. OpenAI announced banning API access for users in China, Russia, and Iran. Now, the ban applies to their API, which developers use to integrate AI models like GPT into their applications and services. Now, previously, users in those countries couldn't really use ChatGPT and their API services anyways, but of course there's a way to get around that, and that way is called a VPN. Speaking of VPNs, thanks to our sponsor, no, I'm just kidding. There ain't no VPN sponsor in this video. But now they're enforcing this restriction even further. Alright, OpenAI is really clamping down on this. Now again, this isn't really typical for OpenAI. They rarely announce anything with political implications, such as restricting access to certain countries. This announcement seems to be an abrupt and unexpected decision, rather than part of a regular pattern of announcements from OpenAI. Again, this all ties back to the topic of this video. Could this decision by OpenAI be under the influence of the US government? Here's what the article had to say. So far, OpenAI hasn't explained the looming crackdown, but it comes as the White House has been trying to prevent countries such as China, Russia, and Iran from accessing cutting-edge AI models and technology from US companies. And the White House has indeed been actively working to limit access to AI technologies for countries that it considers competitors or adversaries. Here's yet another piece of the puzzle that just happened last week. Both Microsoft and Apple have announced withdrawing their seats at OpenAI's board of directors. Now, just to give you some background, Microsoft previously had an observer seat on OpenAI's board. This position allowed Microsoft to gain insights into OpenAI's activities without having any voting rights on board matters. And Microsoft should rightfully have this position, since they own 49% of OpenAI. Apple, on the other hand, does not have any ownership in OpenAI, but they were also reportedly planning to join OpenAI's board. People speculated that Paul Schiller, who was Apple's former marketing chief, might be appointed to the board. However, just last week, both Apple and Microsoft have decided to ditch these board positions. Microsoft explained that everything is going well with OpenAI, and therefore they no longer need to observe board meetings anymore. But this explanation doesn't really quite cut it. It doesn't sound like the real reason behind withdrawing from the board. Even if everything is going well, you don't need to withdraw from the board, right? So what exactly is going on here? Meanwhile, the Federal Trade Commission is investigating the investments made by tech giants like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google into AI startups like OpenAI. This scrutiny is to look at whether these investments could lead to unfair monopolies in the AI landscape. Similarly, the Department of Justice is also looking into this matter. They are focused on investigating Microsoft, Nvidia, and OpenAI specifically. Again, the goal is to see if there are any anti-competitive practices going on. So could this be linked to why Microsoft and Apple are ditching their board seats? Bringing this all back to the topic of this video, could this signify that the US government is getting more and more involved here? But it doesn't end there. So just last week, OpenAI announced a partnership with the Los Alamos National Laboratory to advance bioscience research. Specifically, they announced that their focus was to evaluate the safety and potential risks of AI for biological applications. The problem is Los Alamos isn't just any regular research lab. In 1943, Los Alamos was established as a top-secret site for designing and developing the first atomic bomb, for World War II, of course. And even after World War II, Los Alamos continued to do nuclear weapons research and development. They've since also expanded into other areas of scientific research, but note that they do have a background in nuclear weapons research. So as you can see, Los Alamos has obviously very deep ties with the US government, especially military and defense. Now again, you kind of have to read between the lines here. Yes, they announced that this partnership will be specifically for evaluating the safety of AI for biological applications. But is that really the full story? As we've seen with this string of events, OpenAI has fallen deeper and deeper and deeper into the control of the US government. They have removed any mention of banning military usage in their terms and conditions. They now have 2 board members which were part of the US government, including one who was previously director at the NSA. OpenAI is also working with DARPA, and who knows what top secret and potentially dangerous projects they have going on there. And now they're partnering with Los Alamos, which was originally established to create the atomic bomb. I mean, out of all the bioscience research labs they could be partnering with, they just had to pick Los Alamos, and this sounds very suspicious. Some speculate that they might develop potential military applications using AI. Others see this partnership as a way for the government to gain even more control over OpenAI. Finally, I want to end by mentioning this guy, Leopold Aschenbrenner. He was previously at OpenAI but got fired for allegedly leaking information. What exactly did he leak? We're not really sure. But recently, he published a 165-page report called Situational Awareness, which discusses the road to AGI. In this report, he predicted that superintelligence development will become a matter of national security. He compared it to the Manhattan Project, which was a research program during World War II, and their focus was to create the first nuclear weapons. He predicts that national security forces will eventually intervene in AI development, and that AI will become nationalized. And that is indeed what we're seeing at OpenAI. Over the span of half a year, they've subtly increased their ties to the US government and various related entities such as NSA, DARPA, and now Los Alamos. Their recent decisions and announcements don't seem normal at all, but rather they seem to be under the influence of the US government. Now, let's remember that the original mission of OpenAI, when it was established by Sam Altman and Elon Musk and other co-founders, was to develop AI to benefit all of humanity. I repeat, benefit humanity, not benefit the USA. And the USA has never been beneficial to the rest of the world. In fact, the USA has a long history of exploiting developing countries with debt that they will never be able to pay back, and then extracting all their resources. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I highly recommend this book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. Or this article, Structural Adjustment, How the IMF and the World Bank Repress Poor Countries and Funnel Their Resources to Rich Ones, and this was written by Alex Gladstein. Anyways, back to our topic, it just seems like even Sam Altman, as CEO of OpenAI, doesn't really have much power anymore. The US government and related entities seem to just get more and more involved, to the point where the whole OpenAI team seems merely a puppet of the US government. Rather than building AI for humanity, and rather than focusing on philanthropy, as a non-profit should rightfully do, they seem to now focus on more national security and military and other top-secret projects in the interest of the US government. So let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Do you think it's inevitable that a super powerful technology like AGI would be nationalized and controlled by the government? What do you think of the US government potentially gaining more and more control over OpenAI, which is one of the top AI research labs in the world? I'd love to hear what you think. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, we built a site where you can find all the AI tools out there, as well as look for jobs in AI, machine learning, data science, and more. So check that out at ai-search.io. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.